It's time to talk sports, it's time for the show. When you hear this song on the radio, it's time to tune in, better act fast. Let me get that autograph. Potograph, Sports Talk Radio. Starting now.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 188 of Let Me Get That Potograph. As always, my name is Drew, or the DH, and joining me, my co-host, Mr. Scott Rappaport. What's good, dude?
The usual same shit, different day. But you know what I love? You know what I love about this?
What's that?
We got a lot of news and stories that popped this week that we're going to be talking about coming up in this episode. But what is? Well, you know what? I just got ahead of myself because I was going to say that there were no scandals this week, but there is one semi-scandal.
What's that?
We'll be talking about that in the second segment.
There we go.
I wouldn't call it a full blown scandal. Nobody's with guns, nobody's going bankrupt or anything.
Knocking down walls.
No break-ins.
Right.
Nobody's blaming Trump for anything, which is very good. Nobody's blaming me for anything. It's great. It's excellent. But it's a business-related decision and move, so we'll get to that. It is scandal light.
Scandal light. I like
scandal
that.
light. It's
go.
like or diet scandal.
Yeah.
If I'm making a soft drink, I'm making a diet scandal.
There you go.
And we're just not putting sucralose in there because, well, what all that crap. If we're not gonna, just Google that and find out. There's been some stories on that.
Ask my stepmom. She'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, exactly. Sucralose, bad news. So, but I'll tell you, that's what makes the McDonald's Diet Coke taste better than any other Diet Coke. It's the sucralose. Stay away from that shit. Bad news.
Well, there's your PSA to start the day.
Yeah, exactly. There's my stay away from sucralose. It's not good for you.
There you go.
Not that regular sugar is anyway. I mean, I'm the fat guy on the show. It's just kind of the way it is. Hey, look, I'm trying to be a trophy husband.
There you go.
Right now it just happened. And I am a trophy husband. Right now it's just a participation trophy. So we're just going to leave it at that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, not first place. It's just, participation.
Well, somebody who didn't get a participation trophy, but it's about to get a whole lot of money. I guess we need to start off there. Huge move, man. We talked about soccer on last week's show in the soccer market. We talked about Benzema going over to Saudi, and my God, did they pay that man a lot of money.
And that was finalized the other day for
shit.
Was it over $600 million for a 3-year contract?
Oh yeah, that oil money works great, man. That oil money, it cranks it out.
And the funny, like we're all laughing about this. You and I in the text message yesterday with the next big news that happened like literally hours after that. And my comment on that was the Saudis wipe their asses with $100 bills, so they really don't care about just blowing it on all sorts of crap like this. No, not at all. But one person that money they could not pull away, even though there was a staggering. The numbers that they pulled out were ridiculous. I don't know if any have been confirmed or anything, but they were planning on offering a man a lot of money, but instead he is heading stateside to the MLS and Miami, and that, of course, is the man, Messi. Me. I'm sorry, Messi. My bad. I was just going to make an announcement that I was going to go take my talents to South Beach and play goal for Inter Milan, but
that would be Messi.
That's not happening.
No,
Lionel Messi to Inter Milan, and this is actually the most interesting deal out of all this, and we'll talk about how it relates to the hobby shortly. Yeah. But so not only is the team paying him, but he's also got money coming in as part of his deal to come over here. And now we should preface it has not been signed yet.
No.
But Messi did come out and say that this is where I'm going. So, everything that we talk about is subject to change until he signs that contract.
Right.
But so what is going on? So he's getting a salary from the team, which MLS teams they're not, flush with cash like the European teams are. And I think that's part of the reason why referees get paid so little in the MLS compared to everywhere else.
Right.
But part of the deal for him coming over here is increased sponsorship with Adidas.
Mm-hmm.
He has a He's getting a partial ownership in a team,
which
is not being subsidized by the league.
Nope.
This is the team saying, hey, here's your, once you retire, you get like X% of Inter Milan.
Yeah.
Or sorry, not Inter Milan, Inter Miami. So Inter Milan is playing in a couple of days in the Champions League final. So that's where I was throwing that. And this is the really interesting part.
This is the one I love.
This is the one that I love. So Apple TV has the streaming rights for MLS.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the deal is that Messi is going to be getting a cut of all the new subscribers who buy into MLS's streaming package.
Yeah, from the second
TV.
that deal is signed, any new subscribers that are done, he is getting a percentage of. That's nuts, dude.
That is, I don't think that has ever been done. In any league with anything.
No, he's gonna make so much more off of that and the Adidas and the ownership deal than he is off his actual contract.
Of course.
The back end side of this, people are gonna look at the money when it's finalized, and it's gonna be big money. Miami does have a little more money than most MLS teams with their ownership. I mean, they've got the bankroll to spend if they want to and call them the Yankees or anything, but they've got the bankroll. But he's going to make so much more off of that Apple TV and off of the Adidas deal. I mean, if you saw yesterday, you and I were discussing in text, and I'm sure people have seen the photos, tickets to games that are $19 are going for over $1,000.
See, you stole mine. And the reason, so I was looking at Chicago Fire tickets because I would love to take my son to go see Messi play in person. Inter Milan is coming to Chicago October 4th. And I was looking at the previous game. I think there's an international break in there somewhere. But the previous game, which I think is August 30th, the same seats we sat in a couple of weeks ago were $19. And these were actually, they're right on the tunnel where the players come out, section 10, I think 105. Great seats. Like you're on a corner, great view of the field. The same seats for the August 30th game, $19. But those seats for the game against Inter Milan on October 4th, they're up to $1,000.
Yes.
That is absolutely insane.
Oh, I know, man. I went to, we don't have a team here in North Carolina, but we've got Atlanta down close and we got DC, and everything. So I quickly went over and looked at those tickets and then quickly hit the Xbox next to my window and decided that me and Jude would watch him on TV instead.
Exactly. You know who else besides Messi is going to make bank on all this?
Who's that?
People who have held season tickets for Inter Milan.
Oh, God.
Or sorry, Inter Miami.
I want to count how many times you messed that up.
Okay, so that's two. That's two. We're gonna get, if we were doing video, you'd put a counter at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
So season ticket holders for Inter Miami who got him at the beginning of the year. Because honestly, if you look at there were four realistic options for Messi after he left PSG.
Yeah.
Go back to Barca.
Yeah.
Go to Saudi Arabia, retire, and
MLS.
Inter Miami.
Yep.
In the MLS. There was no other option besides Inter Miami with the MLS. And of those four options, I actually, if you had asked me 30 days ago what I thought like the most likely was versus the least likely, my number 4, the last option on the list that I would have put would be the move to Inter Miami.
Oh, no, I completely agree with you. I mean, when David Beckham came over, it was a big deal, but David Beckham's got nothing on Messi. Like this is the biggest. I mean, I don't even know how this would be like if Michael Jordan had just decided to go play over in Europe in the middle of his career instead of stopping and playing baseball for a little bit. This is enormous.
This is, and here's what I say: Messi coming to play in the MLS is the biggest name to come to American soccer since Pele.
Yes.
And I would argue, and I think ESPN mentioned this in one of the articles yesterday, they were arguing that Messi coming here is actually bigger for American soccer than Pele coming here because of social media and the interconnectedness that we all have that you did not have in the 70s.
100%. And I agree with that because now, I mean, if you swap positions and Pele came now, obviously it'd be a little different. But yes, you have all of the different methods, for MLS to monetize everything, for people to be able to see everything with social media, the overall just where we are in the world. Oh, absolutely. I would say this is the biggest move for the United States in terms of soccer, football, whatever you'd like to call it, that we have ever seen. And I'm very curious to see how this plays out in the hobby, because I already know the increase in the amount of attention on MLS games is going to be second to none. I would expect more announcements with televised games, more big games coming outside of just the Apple TV streaming. I think you're probably going to see that soon as every.
Well, I don't know, but that's the thing. So I don't know what outside of Chicago, I have no idea what the television deals are with any of the other teams, but the Chicago Fire games are all televised here in Chicago.
Right. I'm saying expect a lot of like major networks. These games.
No, I don't think so, because Apple TV has the streaming rights.
Yeah.
I don't think that you wind up seeing, it's not like a deal where if it were on, if Disney Plus had the streaming rights,
right? Yeah,
where you'd be seeing these games on ESPN or ABC.
Yeah,
or Hulu is tied in with NBC in a lot of ways, where you might see games on either NBC or USA.
Right.
I don't think with Apple having those streaming rights, you're going to see it anywhere other than Apple.
Well, it'll be interesting to watch, but let's take it from the hobby.
Well, that's where I was just about to go with this. All right, so Topps, who has been making Messi cards for a long time as part of Champions League products, they're obviously ecstatic because they don't have to share MLS products with anybody.
Nope.
Here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know that Messi is not going to be able to sign that new contract until after his contract with PSG runs out, which is July 30th. We had a product that we mentioned when we did the release calendar last week.
Mm-hmm.
That was not assigned a hard date in June. It was a TBD date, and that was Topps MLS Renaissance.
And that's that nice high-end product we were talking
about. I'm pretty sure that at this point in June, if it was scheduled for release, that product is most likely packed out and ready to go.
I'd be unpacking the boxes.
And that's where I would go with that. Does Fanatics delay the product in order to insert some Messi stuff? And it would have to be redemptions.
Oh, yeah.
It would have to be redemptions because of it. Now, here's the other question. I don't remember seeing Messi autos in the Champions League products. I remember seeing Mbappe.
Yeah.
Neymar was definitely in it, but I don't remember Messi. I'm gonna have to look that up to see if he has a deal, because if he has an existing deal with Topps for autographs, I would not doubt that we would see them in the MLS products.
Right.
However, if he does not have an autograph deal, we may not see autographs.
That's true.
Although, here's the other piece. Fanatics is based in Florida.
Yep.
Inter Miami is based in where?
Miami.
Well, I was going to say Florida. Having Fanatics with relatively close geographic access to Messi, I think, if they can strike some sort of deal, I think you're going to wind, if they don't have one already, I think you're going to see a flood of autographed balls, autographed boots, which is what they call cleats, the soccer shoes in Europe, they call them boots, and then obviously cards. So if you're Fanatics and you have a deal with Messi already, do you pull that product?
I don't know.
Try to throw inserts in there, or
I don't know
try
if
to
you necessarily pull it, because, like we said, it's a very, very low printed product. I remember saying I think none of the cards were over like 149 or something total. It's a very, very low print run, high release product. I wouldn't be surprised if they did very similar to what they did when F1 caught storm a while back with Dynasty. When they released two in the same year, they just released one around this time, around June. Then they released another one around November, December. So
but I think part of that though was not because it caught on. I think part of it was the first release was 2020.
Right.
But it was released in 2021. Right. I think the second release in December, which was the 2021 product, was catching up.
No, I agree.
To release it within that year. So I think that's a different situation. This
is a brand new company and a brand new distribution, brand new release, everything. We don't know how they're going to handle all of this stuff. They very easily could pull this product, hold it off till Messi's done. I don't see them doing that for some reason. I don't.
Hold on. I just noticed something though. I don't think they hold this. I think they release it on time because it is 2022.
Yeah.
Topps MLS Renaissance. we're in the 2023. I don't think they can justify putting him in a 2022 product. But what I don't see on the release calendar, because it usually is a later season release, is Topps and Topps Chrome MLS.
Right.
And they may do it where, they may release, if this product does well, they may release, more of it. But obviously Messi being the product is going to be huge for the products that he's in.
Yeah.
But just the fact that he's in MLS is going to draw eyes on a lot of especially the younger players that, have had rookie cards within the last couple of years. In addition to the guys that have already moved over to Europe, like Brennan Aronson and, and that crowd. But then does that also encourage people to stay in the US to play, as opposed to, obviously the big goal is to, you start off in the MLS and then you go over to Europe and play in the Premier League, La Liga or Bundesliga. It's a popular destination for a lot of these guys. Does it make the, help with the MLS and the popularity and them being able to stay here?
That's something that I'm curious to see, because there's so many good players like Claudio Reyna and some other players that,
Gio Reyna.
Yeah, Gio.
Claudio's his father, who's kind of a prick and caused the whole problem with the World Cup and things like that.
Gio, he's there. We've got a ton of up and coming rookies that are playing in the MLS that also, are trying to contend for the U.S. men's national team, a lot of other stuff like that. I see this as, it really is going to determine what Messi do we get. Are we going to get the Messi that is determined to play, that is playing at the PSG level where he played amazing, even though there was lots of he
put up decent numbers, but I wouldn't call it amazing.
34 goals, 35 assists in 70 some games. Okay, almost a point a game. Not bad.
Now, keep in mind though, we in the US, we are used to counting assists very highly. We do it in hockey, it counts points wise the same as a goal. Yeah. But in soccer, look, assists are valuable. Players do, who have a lot of assists. Kevin De Bruyne, big assist guy. Yeah. Not as prolific of a scorer.
No.
But he's playing his part. Messi, on the other hand, even though he's got a crap load of assists, you're looking to him for goals.
Of course you are.
So 35 goals in 70-something games is actually low for him. But you also got to keep in mind that he was playing on a team with, Mbappe and Neymar.
I was about to say. And he was suspended for a little while. A lot of issues that were going on. He was
injured
there
for a little while. He, took some time off after the World Cup.
But I'm really curious to see, like you said, the guys not wanting to leave the MLS. Yeah. I'm wondering if more international players is this the move that starts to make maybe some other international players say, hey,
speaking of other international players, a former Barca teammate of Messi, Sergio Busquets, is also linked to a potential move to Inter Milan. The two are very good friends.
Right.
They still hang out with each other off the pitch, and he's he's up there in age. He's mid-30s, just like Messi.
Yeah.
But imagine having those two guys on the team. I don't see him getting the same kind of deal that he gets with the Messi guy. No. But if he wants to come over here and win, I think you do see a lot of guys come over here, but I also think you're going to see a lot of guys going to Saudi Arabia.
Oh no, I completely agree with you there. The Saudi Arabia stuff, that's going to happen. Like we talked about last week, they're trying so hard to build that sports entertainment empire out there of everything that they can do. I would not be surprised if they took that money that they'd planned, because I think they thought they had Messi. I do think the Saudis thought they had Messi.
Oh, I think so as well, because we know Barca wasn't going to be able to put up the kind of money necessary just because of their financial situation.
And so I think Saudi thought that they had him, and I think they're going to use that money, all that money that they didn't get with him, that they didn't have to use on him, on a couple other players. So I wouldn't be surprised, or one major one. So I would not be surprised to see a lot of people head over to Saudi. But for MLS products, we were talking about people that benefit the most. The store owners and breakers that had to buy allocation of MLS products and were pissed about it are probably very happy now, as coming up into the next year, you're going to see these these are going to skyrocket. When Messi is finally in these MLS products, they are going to skyrocket. And for the first time really ever, I mean, you kind of had some with Pepe when he, was in MLS. You kind of had that little bump in Paxton Aronson when those guys were there. But you had a little bump and a little hype over MLS, but it slowed down relatively quickly, and it was a very small amount of cards that really held.
Well, it slowed down. I think part of the reason it slowed down was because, Aronson, Pepe,
they left.
They kind of disappointed.
They did.
When they went over there. So I think it's going to be a little bit different because it's the reverse. I think what we're going to see now with the 2023 products that are going to come out later in the year with Messi is very similar to what we're seeing now with Bowman Chrome University basketball.
Yep.
And the impact that Wembanyama has on that product and the pricing compared to the previous year.
Yep. And just to confirm something you had a question on earlier, Messi did have autographs in 2022 UEFA Champions League products. So
okay, there we go. All right, so
autos,
so the odds of him having autographs in the MLS product are pretty high.
Pretty high,
yeah. They'll most likely be sticker autos, just because most of the MLS ones, are sticker. Although this new product that's coming out.
All hard signed.
That Renaissance, that looks like it's all hard signed. So next year's version of it will hopefully have Messi, and that'll be that'll be an amazing product. I can't wait to see that.
Oh God, that MLS Renaissance, the first time? I mean, now granted, I want to see how the cards look in hand. All we've seen is mock-ups. They do look gorgeous. But if this product is a nice quality, high-end product, the first one with Messi autos in it are going to be massive. They're going to be huge. Going to be enormous.
They're gonna be huge.
They're going to be huge. Exactly.
Maybe if he's a golfer, he can come down to Mar-a-Lago and be a member because we let anybody in. It's all good. Except the Democrats. Democrats can't come. So I think I think it's gonna be huge. I think it's gonna draw a lot of eyes on those younger players.
Big time. I think
it's gonna be good for the league.
People are going to benefit. A ton of players and a ton of people that have been holding some MLS cards, like myself, hopefully. Some of these players, I think you are going to see a bump because there's never going to be more eyes on the MLS. There's never going to be more attention paid, and there's never going to be more hype than right now and this upcoming couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's going to be interesting to see the impact that Messi has on Inter Miami because they're currently sitting dead last.
Yep.
In the Eastern Conference right now. And he's got an uphill battle to get back into, to make the playoffs. Because again, MLS does playoffs, whereas Europe does, you just win. But here's my question is normally, the MLS has a, schedule offset from the European leagues.
Yes.
MLS is playing all summer.
Right.
So what happens to Messi where he's not really going to get a break? He's going into the international break coming up this month where he'll play some games for Argentina. And then come July, he'll be right back on the field playing. So there's zero break for him.
Yeah, that's true.
He didn't get a break. He didn't get a break in the fall because he played for the World Cup, the World Cup, which, hey, worked out well.
Yeah, it worked out good for him.
Yeah, I would take not having a break and winning the World Cup for that. But he's basically going to be going for a straight year and a half without having like a serious break.
Well, we're assuming that he's going to sign that contract and walk right over and play. I have a feeling he might take a little bit of time to get over there.
It'll be a couple. He'll have to train for a couple weeks, get used to things like that. So,
but it will be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I can't wait to see this happen.
Oh, I'm thrilled, man. This is. I mean, it's on. Both of us have been. I mean, we both love soccer, and this is for United States soccer something that I've wanted to grow forever. I don't think you could ask for anything better than Messi heading over to the United States. I mean,
that's maybe Holland in his prime coming over to the U.S. to play. That'd be cool. And don't get me wrong, Messi in his twilight years of his career is still better from a playing standpoint and a skill standpoint than 90% of the rest of the soccer players in the world.
Easily.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so there's some of the big news this week, guys. Messi heading over to Inter Miami. It'll be very interesting to see what's happening. Let us know in the comments and everything this week if you guys are paying more attention to soccer now that Messi is over here in the U.S. or, well, will be soon. But one thing, Scott, we'll move on now from Messi. We had some news. You mentioned a mini scandal. A scandal, a diet scandal earlier in the show.
Yep.
Let's break that down.
All right. So before we break that down, you have the other thing I want to break down because we talked about percentages in the last segment with Messi and his skill. This time we're talking about percentages because there's been a massive drop in grading submissions.
Yes, there has.
So GemRate just came out with their monthly numbers for May.
Mm-hmm.
And there is some major drop off on that.
Oh, huge. Overall grading activity declined 14% compared to April. PSA graded just over 1 million cards, down 18% versus April, plus 14% year over year. SGC graded 88,000, which is down 7%. This is where it got interesting.
Yeah.
CSG and Beckett. CSG was up 19% and Beckett was up 17%, but overall, a 14% decline in cards submitted from last month.
Okay, let's go from the bottom up.
Yeah.
Beckett. Not surprised there's an increase.
No.
Beckett's bread and butter is Bowman Chrome.
Yep.
2023 Bowman submissions during the month of May, were probably off the charts for them.
Absolutely.
And that's not a surprise. And let's be honest, Beckett really didn't have anywhere to go but up. As far as submissions go, they were down pretty far. So
they're still down 30% from this time last year.
Correct. But they were up month over month. They were up. CSG. Now, what I don't remember when I was looking at these numbers, do CSG's numbers include the TCG stuff or is it only sports? I think it was only sports.
This is CSG, CCG, and yes, it encompasses everything from my understanding.
Okay, so if it does encompass everything, that's not a surprise. We had a brand new Pokemon series that just came, Scarlet and Violet came out. A lot of people were submitting stuff for that, and they are very, as far as TCG goes, they're they're number 2.
Oh yeah,
behind PSA. So that's not a surprise to see a slight increase with that as well. I'm curious to see what their dedicated sports card numbers were, though.
Yes,
because they're still, as far as resale value and resale prices within the market, they're still for sports far behind,
way behind
Beckett and SGC.
Yep.
So that's kind of there. SGC having a the 7% decrease, that is not a surprise because like I said, everybody was down for the most part, especially year over year. But SGC did see a lot of that 2023 Bowman come in the door because of that promotion that they're running, which has ended and has now been replaced as of yesterday with, which again, we're not surprised about it. We knew it was coming. Top Series 2 promotion.
Right.
And I'm curious to see how their June numbers are going to look because they also launched a $15 football promotion. Yep. No upcharges, no anything. So I had somebody that gave me a couple weeks ago a Jim Brown rookie that came back in SGC 5.
Wow.
So he played the normal rate. There were still no upcharges on that, but it wasn't 15. I think he paid 20 to grade it, but that's still fine because with PSA, that would have, assuming it came back a 5 as well, that would have been probably $150 to grade.
Yeah, probably. They'd probably upcharge you to Express or not 5, but Express probably.
Yeah, 5's about a $2,000 value on that. PSA being down, that one was a little bit interesting because they've increased their turn speeds. And which obviously being
put out, they did just put out the 90s promotion, so I think that'll push next month's numbers. That really didn't influence this month's numbers, but they've had good promotions with PSA. Like they've actually, and the turnaround times have been 2 months. I mean, really 2 months or so once they're from door to door. I mean, they've been quick.
And that's the thing though. And I actually did kind of see it coming that their numbers would be down a little bit because of the fact that they're able to turn cards so quickly.
Right.
Usually when their numbers were really high, that's when you had the massive backlog.
Yeah.
So they're meeting expectations, but at the same time, they're not getting what they need. And that brings us to an interesting question, because we know that they added a massive amount of staff during the COVID boom. Just to be able
sadly, a lot of people have been laid off lately.
and that's the thing, because they're not getting in the same kind of quantity that they were getting in, before. They don't have a 16 million card backlog that they need to work through.
No. But between the layoffs and honestly getting rid of really one of the best people in that company in terms of the PSA aspect of it, letting go of one of the best people in that company. I'm not going to mention his name because he wouldn't want me to, but just really is indicative of where PSA is, I think, right now, as they're, laying off a lot of people. Things are a little in limbo, I think, with where they're going and what they want to do. But I've got a question for you. And this is when I looked at this, I thought, well, this makes sense to me because the National's coming up. Everyone knows that PSA is going to, and all the grading companies are going to have massive national specials. They always do, every single year. And so the majority of the cards submitted, I would say a good, probably at least a third, I would guesstimate, are probably going to attend the National in some way, shape, or form, or send their cards with someone that is going to the National. So I look at this and I say, okay, well, this is people holding off until the National gets there.
All right, so
until they get some of those promos.
So here's where your thinking and my thinking differs, because as it regards to PSA, you're past the point right now where if you send a card in, you're probably going to get it back. If you send it in bulk, value, you're not probably getting it back before the National. I would have thought that the April and May numbers would have been, and the June numbers, which we'll see, beginning of July, would be a lot higher because of all of the people that are, that go to the National. They want the cards already slabbed because it makes it easier to sell.
Well, that's where I think the June numbers, I think you're going to see across the board way up.
And that's possible. Now, the other thinking is the cost to slab at the National.
Yes.
Is usually prohibitively expensive.
Yeah. I can give you a little hint here. Can't give you exact numbers, but I can give you a little hint here. It's going to be a lot cheaper than it used to be.
Well, and that makes sense because they have to.
Yeah.
But it's still going to be, what was it? I mean, what was the charge last year? Was it $250?
I think
for PSA?
So. I believe so.
Beckett usually has like a $50, but that, they're usually up to the, while you wait charges very quickly because they, they're backlogged. SGC did not do on-site slabbing at the National last year. They just did the pre-grade.
Yeah.
That they did, which was very successul. You could give them cards to bring down, to slab and things like that. But a lot less expensive. Even if they cut that price in half, you're still looking at $125 to have it slabbed at the National, which is still cost prohibitive for the vast majority of what people are sending.
Oh no, 100%. I absolutely agree with you on that.
Yeah, so I don't think you're gonna it's people waiting. I think it's gonna be I think the June numbers will be higher.
Oh no, the June numbers I think absolutely will be higher. I think this is more along the lines of just when some things popped. You know what I mean? I don't think this is necessarily like people are saying, is this indicative of people not wanting to grade cards anymore? Blah, blah, blah. No, not at all. Not in any way, shape, or form, at least in my opinion. I think it just comes down to, for all we know, look, this is the May numbers. For all we know, on June 1st through 5th, 500,000 more cards, could.
Well, I don't think, look, while it's possible, but we don't, I don't think they've got the capability to do 500,000.
No, but you know what I mean.
But it's, no, exactly. But now here's the other thing. So I think the June numbers are going to wind up going up for PSA. I think the June numbers for SGC, though, are probably going to be down a little bit. Yeah. And here's the reason why. PSA, and for some reason, I don't know why, it's probably because they feel threatened. They reached out to all of their bulk submitters, the group submission, folks who also submitted for other companies.
Yes.
And said, yeah, you're not going to do that anymore. If you want to still, if you still want to do group submissions for PSA, you have to be exclusive to PSA. Now, that doesn't hurt Gem Mint,
right?
Our buddy Jared, because he was exclusive to PSA already. But guys like Nash Cards, who did does a large amount of PSA, but was also doing a very large amount of SGC.
Oh yeah,
they're not going to be able to do that anymore.
Yep.
So, I'm hoping that they've reached out to and are redirecting their SGC customers to other group submitters.
Yeah.
Me.
Cough.
Yes, me.
Yeah.
Sorry, shameless plug right there.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not going to affect Boca because he's exclusive to SGC.
But there's a massive amount of stores. There's a massive amount of very large bulk submitters that did give you that option of PSA, SGC, Beckett. Some of them did all four, but now
PSA and it wasn't just
wasn't
just SGC. It was I don't know. See, I didn't hear any of it in regards to CSG. I only heard it in regards to SGC and Beckett.
That shows you where they do.
Exactly, which took a huge chunk. So how is it going to affect guys like, let's say, Josh Cade,
right
down in Texas? I think he's with Diamond right now. He built his business with Beckett, was a massive Beckett group submitter.
Oh yes,
and then added CSG and PSA, and I think they're doing a ton of business with PSA.
Yeah.
So in his situation, does he tell PSA to go pound sand because he is sticking with Beckett, who he came up with in the industry?
Yeah.
Or is he going to
severing that long-term relationship? Yeah.
Exactly. So is he going to cut them off? And especially if this was 6 months ago, with Kunal in charge and things like that, I probably would have cut Beckett off, but that's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting to see how this pops out, and it's going to be really interesting to see if the bulk submitters that are not affiliated with PSA are going to see a massive increase in their submissions to both Beckett and to SGC. And I'd like to think so. I'd like to think that that's going to be the case, because if the numbers for Beckett and the numbers for SGC won't fall off, because they're not losing thousands of cards a week,
right?
From some of these large bulk submitters. Nash Cards was one of the biggest 5-star up in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
He was always been a big PSA guy. Matt Sellers up there, great guy. I know Matt very well, but
submitted a lot elsewhere too.
Exactly. And now it's like, okay, well, we're gonna cut that off now. It's like, okay, crap, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the conundrum that a lot of these guys are gonna be in. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, that's going to be something really interesting to watch going forward, because we were just talking about the GemRate numbers and everything. That those bulk submitters that we're talking about don't handle just a couple hundred cards. They handle thousands upon thousands a month, for some of them tens of thousands for a lot of times each of these grading companies. So what are they going to do, and how are they going to kind of maneuver around these new rules that PSA is putting in place, which is pretty much saying it's us or nobody, it's us or someone else, but it's not both. Not exactly taking eating it too.
Yeah. It's if you want to get the deals that we're giving you, then it's got to be us. You can't do it with anybody else. And I'm just trying to figure out why, because for years and years and years, everybody lived in harmony with everybody else.
Right. Yeah.
And the only thing I can think of is that PSA feels threatened.
Well, there's got to be something there. They don't do this for no reason. This isn't something small. This is pretty big when it comes to the clients that they're talking about. And like you said, if they were to lose some of those people that have built amazing relationships with Beckett or SGC and things like that, if they were to lose those bulk subbers where they said, well, screw it, I'm going to go with the other companies and just say, forget it, and push my customers there. That could have a drop-off effect for PSA. Yep. I definitely think this kind of does come from feeling a little threatened here and looking at their numbers, 18% down, making these moves right now. Beckett, you mentioned Kunal out, new CEO and everything in. Beckett's numbers are up 17%. I mean,
yeah. Well, and again, I don't know how much of that had to do with with Kunal being out as opposed to Bowman Chrome, getting released. So I think there's there's a little bit of a coincidence on that one because their numbers are always up when a new Bowman product pops.
That's true.
So that's not a like I said, I'm curious to see what their June numbers look like though.
Yes.
Because that's going to be that would, again, it's been out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a new one coming out. I don't think Bowman Chrome releases till usually September or something like that.
Yeah.
It's curious to see what their summer is going to look like from that standpoint.
Yeah.
But so again, I think that's an outlier month for Beckett.
No, I agree. I think May in general, looking at all of it, is an outlier month. I'm curious to see what June looks like compared to April, March, things like that.
Yeah.
I do think we're always going to have these odd months because of when things pop, how things pop, when things sub, all of that. And that's kind of where I see this as 14% down. Looking at it again year over year, everything's still up, for the majority. But quite interesting. And, PSA making a lot of bulk subbers have to make a very, very big decision here, which is going to influence quite a bit of the money that's in their pocket.
Yeah. Speaking of the money that's in pockets, we need more.
That's true.
Listen to this, and we'll be back as you suffer. And we're back. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for listening to all of that put money in our pocket that helps us bring you this show every week. We are now going to talk about the biggest sports thing on the planet right now.
It's huge.
It's huge. Bigger than anything that's going on right now. It's, of course, the NBA Finals.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we got a big NBA Finals going on right now. Not the two teams that I would have wanted to see in it, but it's actually looking pretty good. And we've got a big name on each team that has yet to win a championship.
Yep.
That could have hobby implications.
It better. I mean, I'll say it right now. It fucking better. Because all I hear about all the time when you hear any of these conversations in the NBA is, how many rings did they have? Jordan has this many. This person has this many. Blah, blah, blah. This person's better than that. Jokic, and I would put Murray in there too, but we're going to
focus on
Jokic, because Jokic is an absolute monster and something that just doesn't come along very often.
No.
You've got Jokic on the Denver side. You got Jimmy Butler on the Heat side. Two guys massively overlooked in this hobby for I don't know how long. Never got the love, despite always putting up great numbers, always being amazing players. Butler, not as much as Jokic. He's kind of
Butler definitely got some love his rookie year.
Well, yes, his rookie.
And then it completely fell off.
Exactly. But now you've got these guys in the finals, and all I hear about are rings and championships. Whoever wins this championship between those two guys, and I love the Heat. I grew up a Heat fan. I still think the Nuggets take it in 6, but whoever wins this, it's got to propel them in the hobby, right? I mean, how can it not?
100%. Now, here's the thing. So let's start with Jokic. Jokic is started off a little slow in his career, but the last 3-4 years has built a Hall of Fame resume.
100%.
There are two things that he is missing. He's missing an NBA championship, so he's missing a ring, and he's missing Finals MVP.
Yep.
And I guarantee you, if Denver wins, that he is the Finals MVP.
Yes.
There's no contest right now.
No.
If Denver wins, he's the MVP. Now, on the other side of the coin, we have Jimmy Butler and the Heat, who, again, if the Heat end up winning, which, again, I don't think is likely, Jimmy Butler will be the MVP.
Yeah.
Oh, now, he is also missing, though, the league MVP.
Yeah.
Of which Jokic has 2.
Yeah.
So that's the question. Now, here's the other one to ponder. So if Miami wins and if Butler gets his ring, is that there? Or let me rephrase that. There is a chance, based on some rumors that were going around years ago, that could be the 7th ring for the Jordan family.
Yes,
Again, there are lots of rumors going around that he is the illegitimate son of Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Look at the two of them together.
No,
There's a lot of
it's
similarities.
Yeah.
Not saying it's anything other than a rumor, but we still got to bring it up because it's funny.
Oh no, it's great.
Yeah,
and the comparisons are definitely there.
Yeah. So do we have? And I just think it's weird that if that is the case, then for some reason Butler wound up much better than Marcus and Jeffrey.
Yeah, right.
I've known those two since they were kids.
Yeah.
Great guys, absolutely great guys. Just weren't their father. And Jimmy Butler, man, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Playoff Jimmy, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm kind of curious to see how this is all going to play out. But I think you're right. I think Denver in 6 is probably the right call. I would honestly, just because I love watching these two teams that are relatively equal competitiveness, I kind of would like to see it go to 7.
I would too.
Because that puts a Denver win in Denver.
Yeah, I'd also like to see it go to 7 because then maybe Tyler Hero can come back and Kyle Lowry can get off the basketball court. Because if there's one person that needs to get off the basketball court and retire, it is Kyle Lowry. My God.
Yeah.
But,
and I believe it. He's already got a ring.
Yeah, so he needs to hang it up quickly. But I think this is the year, if I'm being honest. I think Butler's stuff, even if he wins, I think it's still, like you said, he's missing the regular season MVPs. He's missing a lot of the other accolades. Jokic, if Denver can win this, you're looking at a 2-time MVP. Like you said, there's no way they don't win and he doesn't get finals MVP. So let's assume finals MVP and a champion on a Nuggets team, not on some big team where he brought in a bunch of people around him to help him. They didn't make these massive, massive trades to bring in 2 or 3 other superstars. No, this was a built team. This was built through the draft and through a couple of small role player trades that made them into contenders. I think Jokic has to be looked at as, the hype would have to go as one of the best big men, of the era. And I know big men don't sell that great, but you have to make an exception for him.
I think so. Here's the thing: as far as the Hall of Fame goes, regardless of whether Denver wins or not, I think Jokic is in.
Oh, yes.
Guys that win 2 MVPs.
Yep.
And frankly, guys that win 1 MVP usually eventually get in.
Right.
But I think with Jokic's numbers, the fact that he was the league MVP twice, and I believe he finished 2nd this past year.
Yeah.
And I think Embiid rightfully got that MVP.
Yes.
Him and Jokic have been going head to head, for several years now, as far as that.
Absolutely.
Finishing 2nd for Jokic this year. I think he's a lock for the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's like a guarantee that if they win it this year, he's the finals MVP, he gets his ring, and along with the 2 MVPs, he's a first ballot without question. Jimmy Butler, on the other hand, I think that I think with the championship and most likely the finals MVP, even if he doesn't win a league MVP, I still think he ends up in the Hall of Fame because if you look over the course of, from when he was a rookie until now, he's played at a high level, but look at the guys who have won the MVPs, during that period of time. He's been blocked out. Jokic, Embiid, Giannis has won a couple, so it's like, okay, great. You can still have a Hall of Fame career and not win an MVP because of the guys that actually did. It's like Nolan Ryan. Ryan never won a Cy Young award.
Yeah.
Because there was always one guy.
Exactly. Well, you can look at the whole Jordan era. There's about 50 different basketball players I could name that should have won championships, but there was that dude in Chicago winning all of them.
Exactly. Barkley.
So, but from the hobby aspect, I think that, Jokic is in the perfect position, just like Butler. Both of these guys are, because their rookies came out pre-2017. Jokic 15, Butler 13, I believe.
12,
13. Yeah. So both of them are in that era before production ramped up.
Yep.
A lot less products, a lot less stuff, a lot of nicer stuff, to be quite honest. But they were kind of in that build up era. Butler's got the, debut Prism to fall back on as well. So there's a lot of there's just so much in this that these are two guys that we're watching right now that are getting a lot of attention right now. And I just hope the hobby carries over into the following seasons with these guys. And to be quite honest, some of the other players, I hope Bam Adebayo finally gets the recognition that he deserves. Personally, I've been saying it all playoffs long. The only way the Heat win is if he shoots 20, 25 times a game. If he doesn't, there you have no chance.
Let's just take a look at Jokic. 15-16 Donruss, his base rated rookie. We're not talking, there was no optic back then. So let's just look at that. A year ago, you were looking anywhere between $300 and $400 for a PSA 10.
Right.
Of the base, and we're talking base. We're not talking about,
parallel,
any of the parallels or anything like that. The last several that sold, let's see here, so most recent in the last four. So 699, 750, 860, 775, 710, 820. So 699. So even in a year, and let's just look at the month of June. All those that I read off were just in the month of June.
Of course.
So even in the last couple of months, there was one at the end of May that went for 500. Just going back a little bit, but they've been high. There was one that went May 20th for 315. So, there's been a jump.
Yeah, I just hope it sustains. I just hope it levels up a little bit because I think both of these guys are prime examples of people in the hobby. And this happens a lot because people get caught up with the rookies, obviously the Wemby craze and all of that. It's going to be coming. Yep. But people get caught up in the rookie chase and all this, and people get left to the side and left as afterthoughts. And I think these are two prime examples of players that have proven that they are not afterthoughts and that they deserve much more hobby love than they have been getting in the past. I'm going to take out the month of June because obviously they're getting hyped up now. But you go back 6 months ago, not the same thing. And so I'm hoping that we see some sustainability on this because, these are, like I said, these are two guys that I think will both be in the Hall of Fame. I think both of these teams are great, and I'd like to see a bump on Jamal Murray. Like I said, I'd like to see a bump on Bam. I'd like to see a bump. Obviously, you've got Caleb Martin, who's got quite a bump, but you can only go up when your cards are $1. So
I don't know about that. There's lots of guys that are selling for 50 cents or less. So it's not a huge thing. And I got to look through because I got a bunch of Caleb Martin stuff.
He can thank Tyler Hero for that. But it'll be interesting to see. I just hope, like I said, that these guys that it moves over and people start to give both of these players, but especially Jokic in particular, the recognition that they do deserve.
No, absolutely. Now, speaking of guys that are finally getting the recognition that they deserve.
Yes.
Let's switch sports.
Let's do it.
We're moving to baseball. Two guys we want to talk about in this segment. One of them is a rookie, has like 2 games in the league.
Yeah.
And the other one is not a rookie this year, but has received 0 hobby love until now.
Yep.
So let's start off with the guy that may or may not be a flash in the pan. I don't think he will be. Just got called up the other day. We were talking about it last week that it was imminent. Any day now it was going to happen, and any day arrived.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you, if you saw the video that they posted of how he was told that he got called up, was awesome.
Amazing.
I love watching those videos, but they got him good on that one. We're obviously talking about Ellie De La Cruz.
Yes.
And I'm glad we didn't record yesterday. Normally we record on Wednesdays. Today we decided to record on Thursday. But his second game yesterday,
Jesus Christ.
Holy crap. like what the hell? Dude launches a bomb.
Yeah, 450 something, wasn't it?
458 into like one of the last rows at Great American Ballpark.
Insane.
Almost out of the stadium, which is very difficult to do at that ballpark.
Yes.
114 mile an hour exit velocity.
God.
Like I don't get it. I don't know why. Like why?
It shouldn't be happening. This dude was rushed through the farm system. I mean, this dude has not been. It's not like you have 25 prospect cards of this dude.
No,
this guy was shoved through the minors into the majors and looks to be the real deal.
Well, They did move him up pretty quickly through the minor league system, but in AAA this year, he was putting up ridiculous numbers.
Oh, nasty.
And gave himself a great argument as to why he belongs in the majors. Now, there was a question as to what was going to happen to one of the Cincinnati players, the younger guys, when he came up, because he's naturally a shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, what was really going to happen to Jonathan India?
Yeah, didn't have to worry about that.
Didn't have to worry about that because they got injured. There was an injury at third base, and he came in and he's playing third. And he is making an argument that and I forgot who the third baseman was in Cincinnati because it's maybe it's Senzel. Look, let's be honest, it's the Reds. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah,
he's making a very good argument as to why they should not send him back to AAA.
Yes. No, this is a guy, man. And in all honesty, I know everyone's caught up in the hype right now, and I'm going to say something that some people might laugh at, but this is just something that I see. And it goes by nothing but the eye test. And I'm someone that goes to a lot of minor league games, pays a lot of attention to minor league baseball because that's what we've got here in Carolina.
Yep, I was going to say, because you got nothing else.
Yeah. That's what I watch, so that's what I pay a lot of attention to. I've watched him in person. I've seen him in person. I've watched a ton of his highlights, and now I see him in the big leagues. This is a guy that I think has the potential to honestly be up in that Tatis, Soto, Acuna type level of next generation superstar. Now, it's early.
Now, I wouldn't put hold on. I don't know if I'd throw in Tatis in there yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
that's like throwing in. That's like throwing in, like, oh yeah, he may get caught with performance enhancing drugs.
All right, whatever. You know what I mean?
No, I know.
He has the potential to be on the face of MLB The Show. He has the potential to be one of the faces of the league. He looks the part. The dude is a monster. He is an absolute beast. He just looks like that prototypical MLB player. And then you see what he's doing so far in the big leagues. You look down at AAA, like you said, where he dominated. You look everywhere he's gone, he's done nothing but dominate. And I love this kid. I see big things for him. And I'll tell you one thing, the hobby sure as hell loves him right now.
Yep.
My God, his Bowman stuff is flying through the roof. And like I said, most guys, when they get called up, they've got their first Bowmans, then they've got a couple years in between where they've got their prospect autos and all this stuff. Not him. I mean,
he's actually got he's got his first Bowman, then I believe he's got two others.
Yeah.
He was in, I believe he had a non-first Bowman in Bowman Chrome last year, and he's in 2023 Bowman as a prospect.
Right, but that's it. He doesn't have that 8 million product prospect list like a lot of guys do.
No, and he's not Royce Lewis.
Right.
Who I think has, what was he in 6 or 7 years of Bowman products before he made it up to the majors. He's not that guy. So there's very little for him to do. And he came in just before that typical June 7th-ish cutoff date.
The thing I like about him is he's more than just power too. He's got the speed. I mean, he has. I saw this stat. He has the fastest first to third ratio in the MLB this season already.
And he's also got a cannon for an arm.
Yes.
We'll see how long. We'll see how long that lasts.
That's what I'd like to see. Yeah. We shall see on that one. His one downfall, I think, is playing with the Reds, obviously. But baseball is one of those sports where, I mean, granted, when his career's over, he'll probably play for half the league like most players do in baseball. So I don't – and it also is something where the team doesn't really affect it as much. I mean, there are some instances, but if you're good and you're that good, you're going to transcend that shit team you're on.
Exactly. Like Mike Trout.
Right.
He's played, 10 years in the league and he's made the playoffs once.
Yeah.
But how many times was he MVP? How many home runs has he hit? Baseball, as much as it's a team sport, when it comes to the hobby, it's very much an individual sport.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of the weird thing. The hobby doesn't, I mean, there is a certain amount that they care if you win a championship. But as far as the cards go, They really don't care.
No.
It's how how many home runs are you hitting this year?
Right. We talked about how important that NBA championship was just a minute ago. You switch sports over to baseball, it's a complete and total opposite.
No, exactly.
I mean, look at the most chased guys right now and then count up their rings. I'm pretty sure you still have a couple fingers on one hand.
And the reality is the hobby doesn't care so much about defense as it does about home runs.
Right.
Which leads us into the other guy that we were talking about.
Yes.
Who doesn't hit home runs. He's hit one the entire season. And actually, I believe that game he hit for the cycle.
Yes, he did.
And last year, he won the American League batting title over Aaron Judge.
I know, who just had one hell of a season.
Yeah. And you know what? You know what happened?
What's that?
No hobby love.
None.
No hobby love until now.
Yeah.
Finally, I've been high on this guy since 2019. I ripped an absolutely insane amount of 2019 Chrome update because this guy, I was chasing this guy, and I had a red, I had an orange, I had all sorts of, and I'm actually kind of mad I sold that when I did. And I'm happy with what I got for it, and that's fine. Right. I just wish I still had him now. We're of course talking about Luis Arias.
Yes.
Now,
my God.
He is finally, even when he was leading the American League last year for the batting title late in the season, he still was not like ESPN wasn't writing articles about him, and he wasn't getting anything in the hobby. And then, I don't know what the hell happened. Minnesota decided to trade him.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell were you thinking?
I know.
I will take 9 of him versus 9 guys that hit bombs, but strike out a ton, don't have a huge on base percentage. Absolutely. But now all of a sudden we're a week into June and Arias is still hitting. I think after yesterday with a couple of hits, he raised his batting average again. He's hitting 403.
Yes.
After, I think like 63 games or something.
Yeah. Over a third of the season.
Exactly. Now keep in mind, we have not seen a 400 hitter for a season in Major League Baseball since Ted Williams.
Yep.
It has been a long time since that happened. And I don't think we have ever seen a player win the batting title in both leagues.
I don't think so.
I don't think it's happened. And Arias is on track if he keeps it up. Even if he doesn't hit 400, even if he hits 330.
Yeah.
Which would be like a disappointing season for him considering how it started.
Right.
I think he still wins the NL batting title. And he won the NL last year.
Dude,
but he's finally getting the love in the hobby.
Yes.
And I love seeing it.
Well, I mean, the dude is amazing. I mean, they had the stat the other day. He has more multi-hit games than he has total strikeouts. On the year, he only has 11 strikeouts and 87 hits.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude is an absolute beast, like you said, averaging 403. I think he has the chance to hit 400 this year.
I think so.
This kid's amazing. And I like you, ripped a ton of Chrome update and luckily did not sell a lot and still had it in a box. So I've been sifting through it right now. But yes, he's finally getting that hobby love, and rightfully so.
I had him. I'll tell you, I had him separated all the way back to 2019. All of even his base, I had top loaded because I knew this was going to happen at some point.
Yeah. As
of last week, I had 122 base Chrome update rookies.
Nice.
Now, because it was exclusive, back then they didn't do hobby, they didn't do, and all that kind of stuff. It was only a 7-card, box and the 2-pack hanger. I ran the numbers, and there should be roughly 7,500 of every base card.
Wow.
So having 122 of the 7,500 is a large percentage. I did over 600 boxes. I did over 200 hanger packs. I mean, look, when I said I ripped a ton, I ripped a ton.
Oh, yeah.
But I've slowly started selling them off, and they're getting progressively more expensive every single time.
Yeah.
And, I'm not doing one at a time. I've got them I had the first 2 groups in 10-card lots. I've got a 20-card lot up right now. Yeah, but he's finally getting the recognition within the hobby that he deserves, and I'm hoping that he continues this, because if he becomes the first 400 hitter for a season since Ted Williams, and he continues his career, on a similar trajectory, he is going to be a name that we are going to be talking about for generations.
Oh, how can you not? I mean, how could you not?
So,
Yeah.
but I'm excited to see it.
Me too. I love it. Couple of young guys in baseball finally. One guy finally getting attention, and another one trying to steal the show from everyone else in baseball right now, and doing a pretty good job at it. But it is, like I said, just like when in our previous segment, it's awesome, and I love when the hobby finally embraces somebody that's been putting it together and showing it to you. And the eye test has been there forever, but for some reason, people were afraid to pull their wallets out,
and now they're not.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Drew, I think it's a great place to wrap it up this week.
I agree. So thank you guys so much. This is going to wrap up episode 188 of Let Me Get That Potograph, as we are on the road to the National. We be announcing a couple of special guests that we do have coming up here in a couple of weeks shortly, along with a few other things as we ramp up heading in towards the National. Securing a main stage slot right now as well, which hopefully we'll be able to tell you guys about here shortly. But before we go, do want to thank our awesome sponsors: Denver Card Shows, Game Time Sports Cards, Zion Cases, Show Your Slab, Slab Strong, Stand-Up Displays, and Treasure Hunter Sports Cards. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys are in the North Carolina area this Saturday, I will be at the Hickory Card Show. Would love to see you guys. We'll be doing some video content and buying a shitload of cards. So bring some cards and sell them to me. But yeah, I would love it. And of course, guys, Hobby Hotline every single Saturday. I'll be on the 17th. So tune in on the 17th for sure. And we'll be doing Hobby Palooza over on Bench Clear Media on the 26th. So make sure to check that out as well. It's a ton of fun, a lot of content all day long. And of course, a couple new articles up on Hobby News Daily as well. But great show, Scott.
Absolutely. Same as always, Drew.
Absolutely. Well, until next week, you guys know the deal. Keep ripping those packs, pulling those hits. We'll talk to you then. Peace.